On this episode of Real Talk, are squats necessary for optimal development? For some, it's the king of exercises. You work the entire leg with squats, there's a cardiovascular benefit to doing squats, and you're expending a lot of caloric energy with this exercise. Now, if you're in good shape, where your cardiovascular ability allows you to perform sets to near failure, and you can perform squats in a biomechanically correct manner without potential injury, and you're willing to go close to failure, then squats might be for you. Anyone who tells you squats are a must are usually those who are good squatters. Now, my personal experience with squats, I came into university barely being able to squat 2 plates aside. It was a guy named Lawrence who said I looked like a gymnast. Now, that's probably the biggest insult to a bodybuilder. Big upper body, insufficient legs. Of course he said that. Dude was 5'4". He was a cyclist with big legs and no upper body. That comment pissed me off so fucking much that in 6 months, I began squatting 315 ass to grass. A year later, I was squatting 405 for 10 reps. 2 years later, I was squatting 475 for 5 reps ass to grass. A couple things. Number one, squats impinged a nerve where I had sciatica for an extended period of time. You always run those kinds of risks with squats. Secondly, my legs got bigger over the years, but that was also in part due to stuff like heavy leg presses, extensions, and hamstring curls. The last thing, every time I did more than 4 plates aside on the bar, the walkout to get to the squat position was never comfortable. The stress on my shoulders, my knees, my lower back wasn't pleasant by any means. A spotter was usually required to go close to failure, which wasn't always available, and you had to have somebody who knew what he was doing with the spot. And the final thing, after heavy squats, I always had blood vessels popped around my eyes. Both eyes, actually. It looked horrible. I thought I was going to get an aneurysm when I was lifting. Very few people enjoy leg training day like that. I didn't. More importantly, I felt that as I was starting to get older, there was always that risk for something like an aneurysm, a back injury, a knee injury with this kind of weight on my body. So then you ask yourself, is there a different approach with greater safety and a similar outcome from a leg development standpoint? The answer is 100% yes. I think people also need to ask themselves, very few people get into the sport of bodybuilding or the sport of powerlifting. 99% of people who go to the gym just want a strong, balanced body. Not everyone wants to not fit into jeans. I think it's very arrogant for a coach to say to somebody who has no desire to compete that they need to squat. Otherwise, they're not tough enough. They lack the courage, or the coach is closed-minded that they can't offer an effective alternative. So then the question is, what are some alternatives to build strong, balanced legs? First off, the exercise you choose has to allow you to get to some point where you stimulate the growth mechanism. The best indicator of this over time, and we're talking about months, is that you're progressively getting stronger and performing more reps with a given exercise. Secondly, the exercise needs to allow you to perform the exercise without cardio being the limiting factor to getting to that point of momentary failure. That's precisely the reason why you take a rest in between sets. Then finally, you need to be able to confidently perform the exercise until failure safely. That's why people stop short of failure on something like a leg press. They don't want to be squashed by 800 pounds. For me and many of my clients, this is what I found to be the safest, most efficient series of exercises to build good legs. Leg extensions, a few warm-up sets at 25% and 50% of 10 rep max, followed by an all-out controlled set until failure for 12 to 15 reps, which is a little bit easier on the knees. From there, once you get that all-out rep at the end, 15 reps, I like the idea of a pause for 5 seconds in a resting position and then followed by another rep. Bring it down slowly. Again, a pause for 5 seconds, followed by another final rep, all out. Now, there's other techniques to go beyond failure, but this is the one that I use. From there, with my quads already fatigued, I go to a leg press with a safety mechanism that allows me to stop safely at the bottom if need be. Because I already pre-exhausted my quads, the weight I choose is going to be significantly lighter than if I first started with a leg press, making it a lot safer. And you have a lot more confidence doing it. On this exercise, I would go as close to failure as possible, again, 12 to 15 reps, with my legs sufficiently warmed up and using a very controlled contraction 4 count up, 1 second hold, 4 count down. I perform a lying hamstring curl for 8 to 10 reps. Again, going to failure, resting for 5 seconds before attempting a forced rep. Then I move on to some sort of calf exercise. I found that this combo of leg exercises done properly, paying attention to all other factors such as rest, recovery, proper sleep, adequate protein, and calories is all you need for great legs. Some can get away with training their legs like this every 3 to 4 days. Some need 5 days, 6 days, even 7 days to recover. Now, as always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and share your strategies. Let's have that open discussion.